Hi, my name's Tom and we are your Nerd Theorists. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Crackle paint, and very specifically I'm going to be looking at the Mojave Mudcrack by Green Stuff World. Now, I've never used any kind of Crackle paint before, so this is going to be really fun, and I will let you know all the lessons learnt that I've kind of learnt along the way, and also a bit of a time lapse of it drying and cracking. I know it sounds like paint drying, but I think it's going to be really interesting. So first off, I'd like to introduce Jeff the Spearman, who has literally been given the job to watch paint dry. It's been that long since he started doing this, he's actually died and joined the Empire of Dust. But anyway, moving on. I did actually start recording this a little over an hour ago, so please bear that in mind. So obviously we've also sped this up. This is a time lapse. And full disclosure, this is in fact my second attempt at trying this. In the first attempt, I didn't exactly know what to expect. So what I did was I was applying the paint like I would a normal acrylic paint, but it acts differently. So it reacts almost instantly the moment you put it on. It starts reacting, and it was a little strange, so it didn't quite go as far as I thought it would, and I had to do it in a couple of batches, at which point the first one was kind of partly dry, and as I put the second lot on, it was weird, it looked awful. And because I didn't put all that much on, as it dried and started cracking, it kind of shrank away from the edges somewhat. So, and it looked terrible. So what I ended up doing was I removed it very carefully with a craft scalpel. And what I also did on that first attempt, I put a layer of PVA glue down, because I read up that actually helps improve the kind of cracking on it, which in hindsight worked out really well, because it helped me remove it as well, because it peeled off as I tried to remove the paint as well, so that helped out nicely. But on this attempt I did not put the PVA down, and what I actually did was, because the bottle, the Green Stuff World, the Mojave Mudcrack Crackle paint, has an applicator on it, and you can just apply it directly to your base or whatever it is that you are wanting the crackle effect on. And I layered it on really thick, I mean really thick, and to the point where I thought I was putting on way too thick. But all I did was use a brush then just to make sure it was right up to the edges, otherwise I was just slapping it on really thick. And this time round it seems to be working rather nicely. It is cracking away, and as much as, like I say, that the apparently you should get thicker cracks using kind of giving it a layer of PVA underneath it, but I've figured on these kind of models that I'm using for Kings of War, they are quite small bases anyway, so I don't think having really big cracks on there is going to do it any kind of justice, so I kept it as is, and I think it's turning out lovely. It certainly looks that way at the moment. So this video is running for the grand total of about 3 to 4 hours. It's probably closer to 4 hours, and given the hour before that as well, so it had a lot of drying time. So if you really do want to kind of do this and give it the kind of drying time it needs, which you really should let it naturally dry, you get better cracks doing it that way. Then always kind of give yourself plenty of time. Slap it on in the morning, then go to work or whatever, so you've got time in the evening to come back to it, or do it just before, last thing on an evening, before you go to bed, and then you can wake up in the morning and get a nice crackle effect. But one thing I will say is always paint a base colour underneath that you want showing through the cracks, otherwise you're just going to get your primer showing through. What I've used there is Monster Brown by Army Painter as the base underneath, and I think that works really nicely as a colour scheme. And here is the finished product, and I think it looks amazing. Yes, it took a long time to dry, probably because I put it on so thick, but it worked. It hasn't shrunk away from the edges. I think I'll probably do exactly the same next time around. I can't see any kind of fault with doing it like this. So what I'm going to do in the next kind of steps is use the Crackle Fresh shade and the Nuln oil and the Armageddon Dust, which is the technical paint from Citadel, to try and have an idea of see what we can do, see what the shades and the oil are going to actually do to it, whether it actually helps out and give it a bit more texture to it, or whether I just want to leave it as it is. But this is just a practice, this one, and see whether that technical paint can actually give it a bit of something else on the kind of terrain on there. Just having to play around with it, and that's going to be in the next video. It's just going to be a quick one next time round, so tune in and find out for that. So give us a like, a subscribe, and click that notification button so you can keep up to date with that. All in all, I am really pleased with how it's turned out.